Hey, everybody, it's Jeremy Rosenthal, your briefing attorney. I wanted to share with you this story from last summer, talking about Hannah Gutierrez-Reed, who is the co-defendant of Alec Baldwin in the Rust trial. She had actually been convicted and then was being offered subsequent immunity after that to come and testify against Alec Baldwin. As an update to the story, ultimately what happened was Alec Baldwin's criminal trial was dismissed in the middle of his trial because the prosecution hadn't disclosed evidence. So that's what happened. But I do like this discussion very much because it's a really good talk about the Fifth Amendment and how it works and when, if ever, does it go away. So having said that, enjoy the video.
Jeremy Rosenthal. Jeremy, good to see you. So, what are you thinking in regards to this case? Will Gutierrez-Reed be compelled to testify here coming up?
It doesn't sound like it, Carell. I think she's got the Fifth Amendment right to remain silent. That right never goes away. She was on trial, as everybody remembers, about a month ago. She was convicted, but she still faces criminal liability from that same case. The theory being if she testified in Alec Baldwin's trial, if she said things that hurt herself, if her case got reversed, they could use anything that she says against her in a future trial. So she does retain the Fifth Amendment right to remain silent. Prosecutors tried to give her immunity for this, which is a bit of an awkward move considering they've already prosecuted her to give her further immunity. The judge didn't let them do that. This is a big break for Alec Baldwin.
I'd like you to kind of dive into that a little bit more. How exactly would this help Alec Baldwin? We did hear from his defense attorney earlier today, kind of presenting some arguments that sounded like they made sense. So we got a bit of a good defense on his side. But how does this Gutierrez-Reed decision kind of help them with their case?
She's going to do nothing but hurt Alec Baldwin. She's going to get on the stand if she was able to testify. She would get on the stand and talk about what a frat house the scene of this movie was. She was convicted in a trial where it was shown just how negligent she was in all of these things. Some of the shenanigans in this case, Alec Baldwin, after the word cut had been shouted at one point, running and shooting a blank weapon. And Alec Baldwin is the producer of this film, so the buck stops with him. The fact that she's not going to be able to take the witness stand is a really good thing. She's going to get up there and actually she won't even have to invoke the Fifth Amendment. She just won't be able to be called as a witness. But nothing she was going to say was going to help Alec Baldwin. This was the prosecutor trying to, again, offer her immunity. So anytime their plans are going awry, it's good for the defense.
Let's continue on then with Alec Baldwin, where he stands right now in this trial. Is it looking like they might just dismiss this charge altogether of involuntary manslaughter? What does the prosecution really have in their back pocket to continue on with this case?
They've got a dead person, so that's always a good impetus, right? I think they've taken the position that even though this may be a weaker case against Alec Baldwin, they've taken the position that, look, we're not going to be accused of going lenient on the star. We're just going to let the jury decide this. Unfortunately, sometimes that's what prosecutors do, even when the cases are sort of weak. Remember, in this case, the weapon was originally tested by the FBI and broken by the FBI. And the original test said that the trigger didn't have to be pulled in order for the weapon to fire. After a retest, after the weapon was broken, the opposite was determined. So you would think any ballistics testing from that weapon would be extremely weak. Nobody thinks that Alec Baldwin had any idea that there was a round in that weapon. Even if the set was run really poorly, there's just no indication that he was negligent. This type of negligence, Carell, is like saying that you were going 120 miles on the interstate and you just took your hands off the wheel, that you were just reckless, that you just don't care about human lives, that you're throwing a bowling ball off the overpass. It's that reckless. And I just don't see the prosecution getting there. That said, prosecution has made it clear that, look, we're going to let the jury decide this. We're not going to be accused of having any type of favoritism towards Alec Baldwin.
Speaking of the jury, and it does seem very sensible that prosecution is wanting to do that just to kind of get this entire investigation, wrap it up, and get some, justice for this victim. Unfortunately, a deadly shooting there. What do you think that the jury is going to think when presented with all of this evidence? Where do you think Alec Baldwin is going to land with all of this?
Uh, Alec Baldwin has got several advantages here. First is that he got to see the Hannah Gutierrez-Reed trial first. To use a sports analogy here, it's like being in the batter's box and getting to see all the pitches from the pitchers. So Alec Baldwin has had a really good chance to kind of sit on the fastball, if you will. Also, and this is no slight to Miss Gutierrez-Reed's attorneys, Alec Baldwin's got more resources, doesn't he? So you would think that he's going to have some pretty good lawyers that are in there. Hannah Gutierrez-Reed also had there was an issue with drugs with her. I don't know if everybody remembers. I think she was actually charged with tampering with evidence because she was trying to hide some of the drugs that were on the set. There had been multiple live rounds that she had led on the scene. He's in a bit of a better spot than she is, again, because there's no expectation that he knew that there would be a live round in there. So I think he's going to have a pretty stout defense. That said, the prosecution in Miss Gutierrez-Reed's case was very thorough and they were very impressive. But Alec Baldwin has already seen that pitch. We'll see if they go to school on it. We'll see if they're able to sort of learn from it. And we'll see if they're able to mount a better defense than she was.
Finally, Jeremy, this deadly shooting occurred almost 3 years ago on that set. That has really dragged on for quite some time. When will the jury finally get this case? When could we possibly see a resolution?
I think they're set for trial on July the 10th. And so today is the pretrial, meaning that they're just sort of sorting out a lot of the logistics of the trial, who can testify, who can't testify. There's all sorts of evidence that's kind of coming out now, and that's just sort of the nature of the beast. Lawyers, what we do is we put out the hottest fire, meaning that when you're set for trial and you're working on that case, that's when you tend to put your investigator out in the field. That's when you learn more information, both the prosecution and the defense. So new things are going to kind of pop up here and there. But July 10th, we'll get that trial, and probably it's going to be maybe 2 weeks, I would say, on something like that. So we'll have an answer here pretty quickly.
All right, Jeremy Rosenthal, a former federal prosecutor, also a legal analyst. We look forward to having you back here, not just to decipher this case, but so many other ones. We appreciate your expertise on this. We'll talk soon.